A daughter walked into her parents' Brentwood mansion for a wellness check and found them both dead with knife wounds. Rob Reiner, 78-year-old legendary director, and his wife Michele Singer Reiner, 68, were discovered in their home on December 14, 2025. No forced entry, no arrests made, and the LAPD is calling it a family incident. Sources claim their son Nick, 32, killed them, but police refuse to confirm this. Nick had struggled with 17 rehab stays and homelessness before getting clean. Now his parents are dead and investigators won't say if he's even a suspect. This is the Rob and Michele Reiner homicide investigation. What happened inside that Brentwood mansion? Subscribe to CSI Crime Archives to find out. Rob Reiner was 78 years old and one of Hollywood's most successful directors. The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, Stand By Me. His films defined generations. But more importantly for this case, he was wealthy, well-connected, and lived in an exclusive Brentwood neighborhood. Michele Singer Reiner was 68, a photographer and producer. She'd been married to Rob since 1989, 35 years together. They built a life in Los Angeles, raised children, and were fixtures in Hollywood's elite circles. Together they had 3 children, daughter Romy and sons Nick and Jake. Rob also had an adopted daughter, Tracy Reiner, from his previous marriage to actress Penny Marshall. By all public accounts, this was a successful, stable family. Rob's career was legendary. Michele supported his work and had her own creative pursuits. They had money, influence, and a beautiful home in one of LA's most expensive neighborhoods. But something went catastrophically wrong on December 14th. What happens when a family tragedy becomes a homicide investigation? Nick Reiner was 32 years old and the son who had put his parents through hell for years before allegedly, and this is crucial, allegedly killing them. Nick's story was public knowledge long before this happened. He'd struggled with addiction since he was a teenager. Not just casual drug use, severe, life-threatening addiction that led to homelessness. According to Nick's own interviews from 2015 and 2016, he underwent 17 rehab stays. 17. Each time his parents paid for treatment. Each time they hoped it would work. Each time he relapsed. At one point, Nick was living on the streets. Homeless. His father was a multi-millionaire director, and Nick was sleeping rough. In a 2016 interview with People magazine, Nick said, "When I was out there, I could have died." But here's what makes this case so complicated. Nick eventually got clean. At 19 years old, he finally turned his life around. He came home. He stayed sober. Rob even directed a film about Nick's addiction struggles called Being Charlie in 2015. Nick co-wrote it. The film was intensely personal, a father and son working together to tell the story of addiction, rehab, and family trauma. Nick was 22 when the film was released in 2016. In that same People magazine interview, Nick talked about his recovery. "That made me who I am now, having to deal with that stuff. Now, I've been home for a really long time. Home for a really long time. Living with or near his parents. Clean and sober, supposedly. So what changed? If Nick was clean and had been living a stable life, what would drive him to allegedly murder his parents? That's the question investigators are trying to answer. Because as of right now, Nick Reiner has not been arrested. He has not been charged. The LAPD will not even confirm he's a suspect. But multiple sources are telling media outlets that Nick killed his parents. Why the disconnect between what sources say and what police will confirm? December 14th, 2025. Sunday afternoon. Around 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Rob and Michele Reiner were inside their home on Chadbourn Avenue in Brentwood, one of Los Angeles' wealthiest neighborhoods. The kind of area where houses cost millions and everyone knows their neighbors are famous or powerful or both. Something happened inside that house. Something violent. According to sources who spoke to the Daily Beast, both Rob and Michele suffered lacerations consistent with a knife. Stab wounds. Not a shooting. Not blunt force trauma. A knife attack. Rob was found dead at the scene. Michele was still alive when first responders arrived, but she died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. Did she have time to say anything? Did she identify her attacker? That information hasn't been released. Who discovered them? According to multiple well-placed sources who spoke to Deadline and People magazine, it was their daughter Romy Reiner who found her parents. Romy lives in the same neighborhood. She came to the house for what's being described as a wellness check. Why was a wellness check needed? Had Rob and Michele not answered calls? Had someone been worried about them? What prompted Romy to go to the house that afternoon? When Romy entered the home and found her parents, she called 911. LAFD paramedics arrived first, around 3:30 p.m. They found Rob dead and Michele critically injured. They worked on Michele, got her into an ambulance, but she didn't make it. By the time police arrived, the scene was chaos. 2 victims, one dead at the scene, one dying en route to the hospital. A family member who discovered them. And according to sources, no signs of forced entry. That detail is critical. No forced entry means whoever did this either had a key, was let inside, or was already in the house. This wasn't a break-in. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was personal. Billy Crystal and Larry David, both close friends of Rob Reiner, were reportedly at the scene. What were they doing there? Did someone call them? Did they hear the news and rush over to support the family? Their presence speaks to how tight-knit this Hollywood circle was, and how devastating this loss hit their community. LAPD Robbery Homicide Division took over the investigation immediately. This is the unit that handles high-profile murders, complex cases, and crimes involving public figures. They don't get called for simple domestic incidents. But here's where things get strange. Despite multiple media outlets reporting that Nick Reiner killed his parents, the LAPD has said nothing of the sort. LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton held a press briefing and made this statement.
Hey, Chief Hamilton, are you joined by anybody else on this?
Just me.
I'll give you a statement in a second, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Just remain patient with us.
Okay, is everybody set?
Go ahead, Alan, do it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton. I'm the Chief of Detectives for the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm going to give a brief statement, and then we're going to address any questions that we can. I understand there are going to be questions regarding what occurred here tonight. I will not be able to provide information in a lot of areas that questions may be getting asked, but I'll do the best I can. So at approximately 3:40 this afternoon, Los Angeles police officers, along with the Los Angeles City Fire Department, responded to the 200 block of Chadbourne Avenue here in the city of Brentwood. Upon arrival, they determined that there were 2 deceased individuals inside of the residence. The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days. We will not be releasing any information regarding who was found deceased in the residence, because that will be done by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. So if there are any inquiries regarding the identity of the individuals that are deceased inside of the residence, that information will come from the LA County Coroner's Office. The current death investigation that is being conducted by the Los Angeles Police Department is going to be handled by the Homicide Special Section of Robbery Homicide Division of the Los Angeles Police Department. That investigation will move forward through the night, and tomorrow morning we will probably have additional information regarding what occurred here on Chadbourne and our investigation moving forward. We will not be releasing any further information regarding the investigation that is occurring here in Brentwood tonight.
At this time, the LAPD is not seeking anyone as a suspect or as a person of interest, and we will not be doing that until we conduct our investigation and we move forward. Not seeking anyone. Then why are sources telling People magazine and other outlets that Nick did it? When asked specifically about Nick Reiner being involved, Deputy Chief Hamilton said, "I don't know anything about that." That did not come from the LAPD. So either sources are leaking information that police won't confirm yet, or media outlets are running with rumors that aren't substantiated. Which is it? Well, we know for certain. 2 people are dead. Their daughter found them. They had knife wounds. There was no forced entry. And police are calling it a family incident, but won't name a suspect. What does family incident even mean in this context? As of December 15th, just one day after the murders, this investigation is in its earliest stages. The LAPD Robbery Homicide Division is working the case, but they're being extremely tight-lipped about details. Here's what investigators are likely doing right now. They're processing the crime scene. That means collecting forensic evidence, blood spatter analysis, fingerprints, any potential murder weapon. If a knife was used, where is it? Was it left at the scene or taken by the attacker? They're interviewing witnesses. That includes Romy, who discovered her parents. It includes neighbors who might have seen or heard something. It includes friends like Billy Crystal and Larry David who were at the scene. And it almost certainly includes Nick Reiner. Has Nick been interviewed? Has he lawyered up? Is he cooperating? None of this information has been made public. They're reviewing any surveillance footage. Brentwood is an affluent area. Many homes have security cameras. Do the Reiners have cameras? Do their neighbors? Is there footage of someone entering or leaving the house around the time of the murders? They're waiting for the coroner's report. The official cause of death hasn't been released. While sources say the victims had knife wounds, the coroner will determine exactly how they died, the number of wounds, the severity, and potentially the timeline of the attack. And they're building a timeline. When were Rob and Michele last seen alive? When did the attack occur? How long were they dead before Romy found them? All of this takes time, which is likely why police aren't naming suspects yet. But that hasn't stopped the media from running with the story. People magazine published an article citing multiple sources who claim Nick Reiner killed his parents. The New York Post ran similar reports. TMZ, Daily Beast, and other outlets have all pointed toward Nick as the suspected killer. But none of them are citing official police sources. It's all unnamed sources. Insiders. People close to the investigation. Why would sources leak this information if police won't confirm it? There are a few possibilities. Maybe investigators believe Nick did it, but don't have enough evidence to arrest him yet. Maybe they're waiting for forensic results. Maybe they want to interview him more thoroughly before making a move. Or maybe the media is wrong and Nick had nothing to do with it. As of right now, Nick Reiner has not been arrested. He has not been charged. He has not been named as a suspect by police. Legally, he is innocent until proven otherwise. But the court of public opinion is already convicting him, and that's dangerous. What do you think investigators should be focusing on right now? Let us know in the comments. The Reiner family released a statement the day after the murders. It reads, "It is with profound sorrow that we announce the tragic passing of Michele and Rob Reiner. We are heartbroken by this sudden loss, and we ask for privacy during this unbelievably difficult time." That's it. No mention of how they died. No mention of the investigation. Just a request for privacy while they grieve. Tracy Reiner, Rob's adopted daughter from his marriage to Penny Marshall, spoke to TMZ. She said she had just seen her father the day before for a family gathering. "I came from the greatest family ever. I don't know what to say. I'm in shock." The day before, Tracy was at a family gathering with Rob on Saturday, and by Sunday afternoon he was dead. How does your brain process that? Hollywood responded immediately. Kathy Bates, who worked with Rob on the film Misery, said, "Absolutely devastated. I loved Rob. He was brilliant and kind." California Governor Gavin Newsom posted, "Rob was the big-hearted genius behind so many of the classic stories we love." But beneath the public tributes and statements of grief, there's a darker question everyone's asking. Did Nick do it? If he did, this is a family destroyed from the inside. A son who struggled with addiction for years, got clean, seemingly turned his life around, and then allegedly murdered both his parents in their own home. If he didn't, then who did? And why is everyone so quick to assume he's guilty? Nick's history with addiction complicates everything. 17 rehab stays. Homelessness. Years of putting his family through trauma. That kind of history creates a narrative that's easy for people to believe. Troubled son relapses, things get violent, parents end up dead. But recovery is real. People do get clean and stay clean. Nick claimed in 2016 that he'd been home and sober for a long time. If that's true, what motive would he have to kill his parents? Money? Rob Reiner was wealthy, and inheritance is a common motive in family murders. But would Nick risk everything he'd built in recovery for money he'd eventually inherit anyway? A relapse? If Nick fell back into addiction, could drug use have triggered a violent episode? There's no public information suggesting he relapsed, but addiction is a lifelong battle. A mental health crisis? Addiction often coexists with mental illness. Could something have snapped? Or is there another explanation entirely that we're not seeing yet? These are questions only the investigation can answer. And until police make an arrest or release more information, we're all just speculating. Meanwhile, Rob and Michele's bodies are with the coroner. Their children are grieving, or in Nick's case, possibly under investigation. Their friends are in shock. And the public is glued to every update, waiting to see if the son really did kill his parents. As of today, December 15th, 2025, this case is wide open. No arrests, no charges, no official suspects named. The LAPD Robbery Homicide Division continues to investigate. They're processing evidence, conducting interviews, and building their case. But they're not sharing information with the public yet. Nick Reiner's whereabouts are unknown. Is he at home? Is he in custody for questioning? Has he hired an attorney? None of this has been reported. The coroner has not released the official cause of death. Those sources say both victims had knife wounds consistent with a stabbing. Media outlets continue to report that Nick is suspected of killing his parents, but the LAPD refuses to confirm this. Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton was explicit. They are not seeking anyone as a suspect or person of interest at this time. So what happens next? Investigators will complete their forensic analysis. If a weapon was used, they'll try to trace it. If there's DNA evidence, they'll test it. If there's surveillance footage, they'll review every frame. They'll build a timeline of events. When did Rob and Michele die? Who was in the house? Who had access? Who had motive? They'll interview everyone connected to the family. Romy, who found her parents. Jake, the other son. Tracy, Rob's adopted daughter. Friends, neighbors, anyone who saw or heard anything. And they'll make a decision about whether to arrest someone. If Nick Reiner killed his parents, the evidence will show it. Forensics don't lie. DNA doesn't lie. Surveillance footage doesn't lie. But if he didn't do it, then there's a killer still out there. And the question becomes, who else had motive and opportunity to murder Rob and Michele Reiner in their own home? This case is still unfolding. Facts are still emerging. And until police make an arrest, everything is speculation. What we know for certain, 2 people are dead. A family is shattered. And a legendary filmmaker's life ended not with credits rolling, but with violence in his own home. The investigation continues. The family grieves. And the world waits for answers. What do you think could have been done differently to prevent this tragedy? Let us know in the comments below. We'll continue following this case as it develops. When arrests are made, when charges are filed, when the trial begins, we'll be here to cover it. This is the Rob and Michele Reiner homicide investigation. A case that's just beginning. A story that's far from over.